Hello, welcome to my channel. As soon as I started filming, my cat starts meowing. Welcome to Bow and Arrow Tarot. If you're new to my channel, I really appreciate you stopping by. This is going to be the weekly reading for the sign of Aquarius. Normally, my weeklies do come out on Saturday and Sunday at the latest, but I was having work done on my building, and so I'm a couple days late, and I do apologize. However, I am giving away this beautiful animal spirit animal oracle deck from Colette Baron Reed, one of the really most very, very popular deck because of its beauty, its depth. It's really just a nice deck to work with, and I'm giving it away. So if any of my subscribers are interested, of course you need to be subscribed, and all you need to do is leave me a comment in the comment section of any of my videos letting me know that you're interested. All right? Well, let's get right into it. This is the one for Aquarius for the week of December 15th to the 21st. And how are you, my lovely Aquarius? What can I say? You know, I love Aquarius. One of the greatest loves of my life is an Aquarius, or was an Aquarius. They're still alive, but they are in the past. Nevertheless, Aquarius, I do love Aquarius individuals. Their minds and their attitudes and energy is so great. I am a Sagittarius myself, so let's get right into it, all right? We're going to pull out your romance angel messages and see what the romance angels have for you this week. Forgiving and learning. Nice. And we have worth waiting for. Wow. I love this card, worth waiting for. And flirt. Very nice indeed. Extend your light-hearted energy to others, right? All right, so before we know what that's really going to mean for your week, Aquarius, let's go ahead and pull out your animal spirits. Now, this is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and this is my main animal spirit deck that I use. I really love this deck. Very deep, very simple yet deep deck to work with. You can work with a deck like this for years. Now, animal spirits can represent stages that you may be coming into in your life. They can represent energies that may be coming available to you. Or they can represent characteristics or personalities of individuals you might be dealing with, right? So just take what applies to you. And if it doesn't apply to your situation, just let it go. We know not all readings can be for all people, right? So straight out, we have the frog. Oh, I love this card because this is a regular player in my readings. The frog, certainly water energy associated with cleansing. And the nightingale, air energy associated with the throat chakra. And we have the camel, wow, associated with strong, independent energy and resourcefulness, fire energy. That triangle right side up is alchemical symbol for fire. So let's get right into your animal spirits, and then we're going to go ahead and pull out your traditional spread, all right? The frog is water energy, and it's associated with bringing the purification of water, right? Cleansing. The frog is the great rainmaker, as it were, right? And with it, he brings just cleansing waters, healing waters, time to sort of wash away the leftovers, wash away perhaps old emotions that are lying around, you know, in the recesses of your heart, right? Time to wash away sort of just the leftovers, right? Just any kind of, you know, leftover toxicity or negativity. You know, it's a cleansing that happens with the frog, right? And oftentimes this happens through interactions with others. And sometimes if you're resonating with frog energy, you can be that type of individual who brings the cleansing to others, right? Brings purification to other people's lives, maybe helping others with their healing process. But the frog itself can get very sort of tired out and literally dried out from this process. So here we're talking about, you know, when you're feeling as though you've been giving too much, or when you feel as though you've been sort of pouring too much of your own energy into helping others, and you're becoming tired now, you're becoming dried out, you're becoming unable to do your own cleansing, make sure to take some time off for yourself as well. But more than anything, the frog is a period in our lives when we are sort of cleaning out the old, cleaning out whatever is left over, and making way for sort of a clean slate, as it were. Now, the nightingale is associated with air energy, and the nightingale is generally an unremarkable bird on sight, very small, brown feathered, normal looking bird. But once the nightingale opens up its beak and begins to sing, it is absolutely sort of mesmerizing. It's transcendent. The nightingale's beautiful voice can really bring tears to your eyes, right? And so in this way, this is air energy. And this is associated with a personality or a character type that has something very important or impactful to say, right? This can be someone who is a singer, an orator, a speaker. This could be a motivationalist, right? A motivational speaker. But whatever the case may be, this is energy that resonates with you when you have an important sort of emotion or concept or idea to impart to others. And the way that you're doing that is through your voice. Whether you are speaking or singing, you are impacting other people's lives and giving inspiration with your voice. Now the camel. Fire energy. Camel is associated with extreme independence and resourcefulness, right? Camels can go through great stretches of the desert, dry heat, and survive, right? They don't need help from anyone else. And when they need to cool down or when they need to sort of refresh or re-nourish themselves, they go within and they tap the reserves that they have within, right? Because we know the camel carries water in its hump, right? And those are its reserves. And so this animal is associated with the ability to get through some of the darkest times in our lives on our own. You can see the crescent of the moon there. Shows you that although not everything is clear or seen to the camel, he is still able, he or she obviously is still able to get through some of the darkest times in our lives, some of the most difficult times in our lives without the help of anyone else, just sort of tapping into its own sort of spiritual reserves, its own sort of internal nourishment and nurturing that it needs. Also, the camel is able to stay very, very calm in the face of anger, because of course it lives in a desert and survives the heat. So this is sort of also symbolic of the ability to deal with individuals who may be very irritated or angry or heated, and to remain calm in the face of that energy, and unsort of affected, as it were, right? All right, guys, let's get right into your spread, my lovely Aquarius. It's time to pull out anywhere from 4 to 6 3-card spreads, depending on how much time I spend on each. And these are forecasts for your week that you may or may not be going through. And, of course, they resonate with you, great. And if they don't, just let it go. All right, Aquarius, not all of these forecasts will be for you. All right, let's get right into it. Straight out, we have the Ace of Cups, the Tower, and the 8 of Pentacles. All right. Some of you are coming in this week. You have a new love, right? There's a new opportunity for love coming in, right? It's just the beginning, right? But this new relationship coming into you this week is you're being met with a Tower moment, right? It's quite interesting because I almost wonder if this Tower moment is as a result of this new love coming in. It could be that you just didn't expect it, or that it just came out of the blue, out of nowhere, right? You may have been living a very independent life. You may have been resonating with camel energy. But in any case, this new sort of fountain of love that has sort of appeared in your life is what you're kind of focused on when you come into the week. And when you meet this week on, you have this Tower moment, right? Now, the Tower moment is quite interesting because it results in you having an 8 of Pentacles. There is something to do with your work that is impacting this new love relationship. There is some new understanding about yourself, right? And a new understanding about your level of self-discipline, right? That is impacting this new love, right? It could very well be for some of you. An example could be that you may have been, say you're an Aquarius, that you've been living a very sort of single life. You know, you may have been doing a lot of sort of dating or this or that or what have you, but you've been living this sort of very sort of unattached life, right? But then you have this connection that comes in that is really so overwhelming. It's a huge connection. It's a great sort of opportunity or potential for a great love that you may not have thought possible or you may not have been looking for. And by coming across this love, you have this Tower moment this week in a sense that you completely change your outlook on who you want to be, right? It could be that before you were perhaps being the playboy or playgirl, partying, you know, dating, partying, you know, you may go to work during the day, but you may have been partying all night or hanging out or what have you, you know, dating a lot of different people, whatever the case may be, but it's a very sort of different lifestyle. But then this new love comes in and it really changes you to your core with this Tower moment, and you round the week off with an Eight of Pentacles in a sense that because of this Tower moment that you've had as a result of how strongly this new sort of love connection has affected you, you suddenly change your whole outlook. You become very disciplined. You realize that in order to have this love, you need to work, you need to be responsible, you need to be disciplined, perhaps not party as much. And it's almost one of these scenarios where the friends say, oh, did you see so-and-so? Yeah, so-and-so used to be such a playgirl or a playboy. You know, they used to be such a party girl, right? Or such a, you know, out and about on the town, and look at them now. They met so-and-so, and now you never seen them anymore. All they ever do is work, you know, to sort of progress this relationship. And it's not that you go, you know, that you sort of deny yourself fun anymore, but it's suddenly this Tower moment comes, and it's like it brings with it such a level of responsibility and maturity, and you're willing to do it. You know, it's like, it's, you know, before this love came in, you probably never imagined yourself coming home and going to bed early or not staying out 3 nights a week and enjoying yourself. But you've made a complete 180 shift in your outlook because this new connection has affected you so, so deeply. Knight of Swords, Judgment, and Four of Pentacles. So Knight of Swords comes in. Knight of Swords is interesting. The Knight of Swords comes in when it's time to really follow a particular plan, right? It's time to put a plan in action to achieve something, right? Whatever that plan is. And the Knight of Swords kind of comes in and takes no prisoners. He will not allow any sort of obstacles to get in his way. He cuts them away. Any obstacles in his way, he cuts those away. He decides that, you know, and he cuts them away with truth, with communication, right? This is Knight of Swords is not afraid to tell somebody, look, I don't need you on this project, or I need this, or I need that. You know, the Knight of Swords is very sort of direct, very, very honest, very clear, and knows exactly what steps he needs to take to achieve his goals, right? He's very, very sort of active about it. He's not, obviously not passive. He's very forward about it. And knights are always associated with air. So swords are associated with air. So here we have the airy quality of air. This is like someone who's very, very fast-paced, someone who talks a lot, debates a lot, communicates a lot, has a lot of ideas, always racing around in their head, and is willing to act on them, right? So you're feeling very motivated when you come into this week to follow this particular plan or path of action. And you're met with a Judgment card, which is interesting because something occurs this week along this path or this plan of action that you're instigating, where you begin to see particular situations a little bit differently, right? As a result of this sort of focus that you've had, I think you begin to see certain scenarios with less criticism. You may be leaving some of your overcritical or over-judgmental ways behind, maybe engaging in a bit more empathy, understanding a bit more. It could be some frog energy in the sense that you may have come to help someone, or whatever this plan of action, wherever this plan of action is leading you, may have put you in touch with various individuals who are in certain scenarios where you've suddenly realized perhaps you've been overcritical or judgmental of those types of people or people in those situations, right? You know, an example would be if you're working towards a particular plan, a particular sort of business plan, right? And say the business plan involves sort of building a business in a particular area, right? During the course of building this business in this area, perhaps you begin to talk to some of the people in the neighborhood and you find out some things about the neighborhood and about its residents that is making you think twice about some of the values or judgments you had before on them, right? You may be saying, okay, I'm bringing this particular business to the neighborhood and it's going to be great. But then as you talk to people in the neighborhood, maybe you realize that they can't afford your kind of business, or maybe the type of business that you're bringing is something that they don't need right now for various reasons, right? And suddenly your judgment of sort of like a particular area or a particular group of people in life begins to change a little. A little bit more empathy might be coming in, or compassion, or just beginning to see a scenario from another person's point of view, right? If for instance, if we go back to that example, if opening that business up until now, all you could see was the benefit, but now in speaking with people perhaps in the neighborhood, you realize that it has a detriment in some way, right, to them. This is beginning to see a scenario that before now was beneficial to you, but now you're beginning to see that scenario through the eyes of others, and you can understand their frustrations or their sort of, I want to say, what's the word? Not anticipation, but sort of apprehension, right? You can understand their apprehension of what you're trying to achieve. And maybe before you weren't able to see that, right? Because you haven't been, you haven't been in contact, you haven't been talking with people. This is a very crude example of what I'm talking about, but this is what I mean by the dynamic of these two, right? And it's interesting now that you then round the week off with a Four of Pentacles, because it's like you had an idea, a strategy. Something has occurred here which has really got you to think about this idea or strategy from multiple sides, from other people's points of view, and you round the week off wondering about your money. Four of Pentacles indicates a feeling that finances may not be as stable, or your financial stability may be threatened, right? And so it's like, as a result of this process and this sort of empathy and awakening and understanding of a particular scenario, not just from your point of view, I think it impacts your financial standing, right, in some way or another. Perhaps you soften your idea of what you were going to do, or maybe you're changing your idea of what you were going to do because now that you've had this judgment moment, you've been able to see it a little bit from outside the box. And all of this may be affecting your money, or you may feel as though it's going to threaten your money. And you may have to change your plans accordingly so that not only are you true to this new realization you have, but you are also able to maintain your stability here financially, right? Again, if we go back to that example of opening up a particular kind of business in a neighborhood, and you realize that perhaps, you can't do it the way you wanted to do it because of the impact that it would have, etc., right? And so this new decision may impact how much money you're going to make now. Maybe before, if you had just gone headlong, you'll make a ton of cash. But now, if you're considering other people's points of view, perhaps you're not going to make a ton of cash if you change your strategy, right? But here we're talking about also deciding what is most important to you, because remember, the Knight of Swords is all about truth and idealism, right? And if your truth and idealistic point of view is changing, sometimes, yes, your financial outcome may be different, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be broke or poor, that you won't be successful. It just means that you need to shift your strategy so that you can still maintain your financial stability. Six of Swords, Hanged Man, Nine of Wands. All right, Six of Swords talks about a decision to move on from a difficult place in life, a decision to move away from strife and struggling, a decision to sort of move towards more harmonious relationships rather than continuing in relationships that really are painful and don't serve you, right? And oftentimes, Six of Swords can even indicate a move, a physical move, right? But in any case, you've made this decision. You're making a decision to leave a particular environment, scenario, etc. And you're met with this week with Hangman energy. Hangman energy is interesting because the Hangman comes in when we are awakening, okay? Excuse me. Oftentimes this card is misinterpreted as stuck energy, which in fact it is not. The Hangman is all about awakenings. When we look at the first two in Major Arcana, is the High Priest, is very wise, very intuitional. Second to the 12 is the Hanged Man. That's inspiration, intuition, and action. It's when we wake up. This is why he has a halo of radiance around his head, which is sort of the archetypal symbol for awakening and enlightenment. It's not the symbol for being stuck or bored. It's the symbol for awakening up. And so the Hangman shows up when something has come into our lives to inspire us, to move, to put more activity in, to put our best foot forward rather than not being bothered. The Hangman can't, before waking up, the Hangman was mostly just not bothered, right? Nothing was important enough to him for him to make the effort. Now that he is woken up, now that he is illuminated, he has found some sort of a sense of realization in his life and inspiration. It is now that he realizes and he wakes up to how much more he could be, and he wakes up to his potential and his desire to put his best foot forward to achieve this new inspiration. So you're met with that, but it's interesting because I'm going to say, although you've decided to move forward in one area of your life, Aquarius, Hangman energy comes in a sense that you wake up and you realize exactly how stuck you still are. Right? You may be wanting to move forward, but you are still sort of unable to make those steps. And you're waking up to the ability of not necessarily being ready to make the actual steps. You have the intention here, but what is required is a little bit more healing, a little bit more cleansing. And why I say that is because of the Nine of Wands. Right? You realize that you wake up to how you have been, how your path has perhaps been blocked a little bit, right? By your own means, right? By your own hand. Because Nine of Wands talks about looking back on particular sort of hang-ups, baggage that we've collected, the things that we've collected in our lives that alienate us from the rest of the world. You can see that the Nine Wands are alienating the character from the rest of all of that green creativity behind him, right? And so this is symbolic of how we have collected sort of behavior patterns. We may have collected baggage, emotional baggage or mental baggage. We may have collected self-esteem or self-confidence issues along the way. And all of these little wands or little bits of baggage, right, that we've collected serve to sort of alienate us from our true path. But here with Nine of Wands, the character begins to see this. And he begins to look at the wands for what they truly are and to see that they have been an impediment to him, an obstacle rather than a crutch. You could see him leaning on one of the wands there. Because up until now, a lot of this behavior that he's had, that he's adopted, or the baggage that he's adopted, he's been using as a crutch, But looking on it, looking back at it and seeing them for what they are, he very quickly realizes that the crutch isn't useful. And if anything, it's become very oppressive. And this is how we rise up to the Ten of Wands when we're ready to lay it down. But Nine of Wands, we're not quite ready to lay it down. We have to still face up to what it is. There still needs to be this mirroring time of facing up to the things that we've collected in our lives that we no longer want there. And the things that keep us from our objective, reaching our goals. And so this is what you're realizing this week with the Hanged Man. In your decision to move forward, you are awakening to areas in your life where you continue to alienate yourself and maybe stop yourself from moving forward. And that's a good thing because you have to first see these areas in your life before you can lay them down. So this is a very, very nice and progressive sort of forgiving and learning chapter for you this week, Aquarius. Four of Wands, Page of Wands, and the Four of Cups. All right, this is going to be the last one. Yeah, this is going to be the last one. All right, Four of Wands is the 1111 card. Four of Wands is Venus and Aries energy. So we're talking about a new relationship a beautiful new relationship that is also very, very stable from the outset. This is why we associate this card with the twin flame journey. Because it's, you know, 4 is the number for stability. And 4 of Wands, we're talking about two people that start off in a relationship together with such stability and mutual respect, understanding, and love that it immediately sets them off to a very, very nice start that should last for quite some time. You know, bearing in mind that they maintain this mutual respect and love for each other. And so for some of you, you have a new relationship coming in that is certainly was worth waiting for. You're met with the Page of Wands, which is quite interesting. Page of Wands is very idealistic. He's not afraid of expressing himself. He's not afraid of expressing himself creatively, right? Page of Wands talks about sort of like overcoming sort of doubt and fear of being laughed at or ridiculed, right? It talks about being very idealistic and very passionate about your goals, wanting to follow your goals without fear of what anyone may say to you. And this is the energy that you're met with this week that comes into you this week. So it's quite interesting. Could be that this new relationship is something that's very different or out of the ordinary for you, right? Could also be that some of you have been resonating with such strong camel energy, Aquarius, in such an independent manner that this love coming in for you this week, you're kind of having to overcome your fear in a way because this is a new thing for you, for some of you, right? But I do believe in either case, whether it's because you're extremely independent and this is new for you and so you're having to overcome sort of a little bit of anxiety about opening up, or whether it's just been something that you've been waiting for a very long time and still, you know, you are ready, you know, you're ready to go forward with it. In any case, there is an issue here in terms of sort of your, you know, overcoming fear of being extremely creative. I want to say for some of you, this could very well be a connection with someone who's outside of your culture or outside of what you're used to, maybe outside of your religion, right? Or your, you know, the society that you were raised in. So being in this relationship can feel like a very sort of like, you know, revolutionary stance, right? Very sort of out of the box, rebellious sort of move. But yet you don't care. You're not afraid. And you round the week off with a 4 of Cups, which is quite interesting. The 4 of Cups is kind of like saying, look, I'm not gonna listen to you or accept your cup of love. A lot of times this can be interpreted as somebody, when you're not accepting somebody's cup of love because they haven't really proven or shown you any reason to accept it. It's just an empty cup. It's just, you know, they may have just said some nice words, but, you know, you're trying to maintain your stability. This can also be interpreted as when you have friends or family who are wanting to engage with you, wanting to give you their 2 cents or their help in some way, and you're refusing it. You're refusing their help, even if you may need their help, right? So in some way, it's quite interesting. It could be for some of you that this new relationship, although you're being very fearless and wanting to perhaps pursue it, it could be something that is outside of your normal sort of culturally accepted relationship, right? And so there could be some consequences. And by the end of the week, you may indeed have some friends who either are wanting to help you, but you know, you're just not trusting them. You're wanting to do it on your own. You're being very, very obstinate. And just take care, because sometimes this help can be genuine, right? And it can be something that you need. And by refusing to accept it, you know, or perhaps even taking for granted that it'll be there when you do want to accept it, it could be that you're kind of cutting your nose off to spite your face, right? So if you are having some issues in progressing this relationship, perhaps because, like I said, maybe your family, your culture doesn't accept it, or there's something about it that is outside of the box for you, you may indeed need the help of a friend to sort of, you know, maybe get the family to accept it, or someone that's going to support you in your decision. Do you know what I mean? But I think that for a lot of Aquarius, for those of you who are resonating with this, a lot of you are unwilling to accept it because you're already feeling a little bit sort of put upon. You know, you're already feeling kind of like defensive about the reaction that the people in your life are having about this connection. And so, of course, it makes perfect sense that you're also saying, well, look, I don't want anybody to help me or to put their 2 cents in. I know what I'm doing. But just take care, you know. You may indeed need the help of a friend at some point. And so be careful that you're not sort of being too kind of too closed off, right? Because sometimes this cup of love, this cup of assistance and help is really genuinely offered from those who truly love you. And I guess you're the one who's going to have to discern that for yourself. All right, guys? All right, I'm going to leave it at that, my lovely Aquarius. This is your reading, December 15th to the 21st. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you did, like, subscribe, and share. If you're interested in the Spirit Animal Oracle deck, I'm starting to lose my voice again. Every week this happens. I do so many videos, I start to lose my voice. Collect, bear, and read. Beautiful Spirit Animal Oracle deck. All you have to do is leave me a message letting me know that you're interested and be subscribed to my channel. If you're interested in a private reading, go ahead and follow those links at the top of your screen. But for right now, Aquarius, have a wonderful 3rd week in December, and I shall see you next week. Bye-bye now.